Hi, my name is Melody, and today I just wanted to do a flip through of my Inktober 2017 sketches. This was my first year participating in Inktober, and it was a learning experience. I'm typically not that big of a drawer. My preferred art medium is acrylic painting, and I almost never sketch out my pieces before I start painting them. So a full month of just straight drawing was a challenge, but a really good experience. Okay, so diving right in. If I go a bit fast, it's because I'm trying to get this whole thing filmed because daylight's about to disappear. Oh, and for the first couple days of Inktober, I was actually in the middle of traveling, so I didn't bring any of my art supplies because I forgot Inktober was happening, and I had to buy a new sketchbook. I had to buy a 4-pack of ballpoint pens, and they were just black, blue, purple, and pink. So for the first 6 or 7 drawings, they're done just in those 4 colors. Alright, so day 1, the prompt was Swift, and I was going for something more symbolic here. I drew a person's lifetime, which is what the clock represents, and I was trying out a different art style than my typical one for the baby and the young woman. I was trying to get a more cartoony aesthetic, but it didn't turn out that great. The older woman, she's closer to my regular art style in my paintings. So yeah, that was my first Inktober drawing. For day 2, the prompt was divided, and I'm not big into politics, but I just drew the American eagle and the flag, right in the middle, just because it's supposed to represent what's going on in the US right now. I went back and colored the beak in after I returned home and got all my my gel pens. I just went back in, and because it was just white, I left it white, so I just went back and colored it yellow. For day 3, the prompt was poison, and this was actually the drawing that surprised me the most because I don't think I've ever drawn anything this detailed. Usually my paintings is what looks kind of this good, so this was a pleasant surprise for me. I drew a poisoned heart, just an artistic representation. I drew like little spikes here, just to give it more of a sinister feel. Alright, and this was actually my favorite one. Day 4 was, prompt was underwater, and I drew a jellyfish. I didn't expect it to turn out this good. If I can get a close-up here. Yeah, I used all 4 of my ballpoint pens to shade and everything, but this was the drawing that made me realize I probably actually can shade worth a damn without paint. So this was probably my favorite one of my pieces on Inktober. For day 5, I remember I was in a rush this day because I was going out. What was I doing? Oh, the balloon festival in Albuquerque, New Mexico. They had the International Balloon Festival, so I was having to churn this out really quick, so I just drew one of my pothos plants, and I went back and filled in the butterflies different colors after I got home and got my different color gel pens. Alright, day 6 was sword, going for another artistic representation here. Not very happy with how this turned out. Again, I'm not that great at drawing in the first place, and in second, my most difficult subjects to draw are humans, whether it be their faces or their bodies. So this was what I came up with. Each sword was, had some sort of sad message. Like the first one says, I cheated on you. The second one says, I lied to you. The third one says, I don't love you. It doesn't mean anything to me personally, just, some sort of artistic thing with a story. Day 7 was shy, and I drew a fawn. And again, because I didn't have all my colors, it turned out to be pink and purple. The anatomy is pretty off. I had to churn this one out in a couple hours, and I'm really slow at drawing, so this was what I came up with for that day. Day 8 was crooked. Just drew a creepy Halloween tree. Just really simple, and this was the last one before I got home and got more access to different colors. So here, day 9 was Screech, and I took a picture of this giant prehistoric bird fossil from the Museum of Natural Science and History, I think, in Albuquerque. And I took a picture of this fossil, and I just really liked how it looked, and I imagine it would screech, when it was alive, since it was this gigantic bird creature. So I just drew part of its fossil. And this one I actually liked how it turned out as well. Day 10, prompt was gigantic, and I was inspired by the balloon festival. So I drew a steampunk balloon, just a fun little design that I banged out probably around midnight that night. And this, oh god, Day 11, the prompt was run, and I attempted a unicorn. It was going well until I got to the hare, and when I got to the hare, it was like 3 in the morning, and I was like, no, I just need to post this. I gave up, okay? I gave up. Not proud of it, so let's just move on. Day 12 was shattered. This is supposed to represent someone going flatlines, someone passing away in the hospital and their heart monitor flatlines, and shattered. This is supposed to be the shatters of their future dreams. I guess the subject was supposed to be like maybe a teenager or something, so it has here university, diploma, inventions, Nobel Prize, children, marriage, world travels, aeronautical engineering. They had dreams, they unfortunately couldn't get to them. So yeah, that was that for that. Day 13 was teaming. I just drew a mouth with ladybugs crawling instead of spiders or bees. I guess I was thinking of Candyman, where bees were coming out of his mouth, so I just went with ladybugs to make it more feminine but no less disgusting. Day 14 was fierce, and I actually like how this one turned out. This is supposed to be my design for Fallout 3's Tunnel Snake logos. Fallout is a video game series that I'm completely fanatic about. So just drew the Tunnel Snake logo, my version. Day 15, mysterious. Yeah, I don't even know what to say about this because it turned out nothing like how I had hoped. So yeah, I need a lot more practice when drawing human faces. The realism level is just not what I had hoped for. So I do like how the scratch came out though. So yeah, that was it for that. Day 16, the prompt was fat, so I drew a little lop bunny. Just, do something different from what I had been drawing the past couple days. This one is one of my favorites. I didn't expect it to turn out this well. But day 17 was graceful, and I drew a betta fish showing off his fins. So I think this is one of the most popular ones on my Tumblr. Day 18 was filthy. Just drew a hallway of an abandoned building with all the graffiti, all the dirt and everything. Yeah, I do need to work on lighting. There's a light coming down here, but I don't think I drew it or shaded it well enough to show that. So but this was all right. This was an all right drawing. Day 19 was cloud. Zion National Park is what I drew, the view from Angel's Landing. This turned out to be not as bad as I thought it would. I actually do like how it turned out, which was really surprising because when I was shading it in, I wasn't stepping back to take a look, and so while shading I was like, oh god, this doesn't look anything like the canyons in Zion. But it looks pretty good now that I'm standing about 2 feet away from it. It's all right. Day 20, the prompt was deep, and I drew a mermaid's hand coming out of the water. This one I actually do like. Again, when I was shading it, I didn't think it was looking that great, but once I stepped back, it actually looked pretty decent, so pretty happy with this one. And day 21, the prompt was furious, so I just drew a zombie with half his jaw missing to get into, the Halloween spirit since we were getting close to Halloween. If I were missing my entire lower jaw, I'd be pretty furious too. Day 22, the prompt was trail, and this surprisingly turned out to be the most popular of my Inktober drawings on my Instagram. It had the most faves, and I drew kind of a surreal scape of the Pillars of Eternity in the background, and just like an ice world type planet with the trail leading up there. So I guess people really liked how this composition came together. But yeah, this is what I came up with for trail. Day 23 was juicy, and I attempted to draw a T-Rex eating a smaller dinosaur for dinner, and apparently it was a very juicy dinosaur. But yeah, it's alright. It came out okay. Day 24 was blind, so I drew a blind woman wearing a masquerade mask and I guess a little butterfly wing coming out of the mask. Again, I do need to work on anatomy. I'm pretty sure I have things incorrectly proportioned, and the eyes could definitely use a lot more detail. But yeah, slowly working on my human faces and bodies. For day 25, the prompt was ship, and I drew space, just outer space, an artistic representation of space with a UFO, because I visited Roswell a couple times these past few months, and I really liked it, and I just loved the novelty of the UFOs. For day 26, prompt was squeak, and I remember not having that much time to get a drawing out, so I just went with a steampunk bike, and yeah, that's that's all I can say about that. Day 27 was climb, and I drew, for anyone who's played Mass Effect, if you've played Mass Effect 1, if you can recall the Mako and its physics, and this was nostalgia of the Mako's physics, where you were able to drive up an incline of like 80 degrees up a cliffside. So that's what I drew for that day. Day 28 was fall. I was trying to go for an abstract cyberpunk acid rainfall type drawing, but I ran out of time to do the details. By the way, I don't think I mentioned, but for the first 29 days or so, I was doubling up because I did start Inktober a bit late, and I kept getting delayed because of my travels and stuff. So I was trying to finish this one so I could get to this, day 21, United. I drew a unification of cyberpunk and steampunk, because that's going to be the premise of my NaNoWriMo novel this month. Now, it's already November, I've started writing it, but this half of the dude is cyberpunk. You know, he's got the mask on, I guess he's supposed to be an android. He's not a character in my story, but he's supposed to represent, you know, the aesthetic and everything. So we've got his data lines here, glowing eyes, the mask. And on this side, we've got his goggle and his top hat, which is, you know, symbolic of steampunk. So yeah. Day 30, prompt was found. And I drew as if we did find intelligent life in Mars, but only thing is, this was what they had to say to us. Deport illegal alien rovers, GTFO Earthling scum, no humanity, and yeah, an annoyed life form. I was just, by this point, I was wanting Inktober to be finished. I was, as much as I had a lot of fun drawing every day, I was ready to start writing, so this is what I came up with, just something kind of silly for day 30. And then last day, Inktober 31, the prompt was mask, so again, I went for fan art. I decided to do fan art. This is the mask of the ghost people from Fallout New Vegas's Dead Money DLC. That DLC enraged me in its gameplay and mechanics, but I love the aesthetic, I love the atmosphere, and I love the design of the enemies. This is one of the enemies you encounter in that DLC, and I just really liked how the glow was happening from the eyes. This one, when I posted it, actually it was amazing. Chris Avallone, who is one of the fathers of Fallout, he commented on it and liked it. He said, good job, thanks for drawing it. And of course I was over the moon, just really happy that my silly little Inktober drawing got recognized. That concludes my Inktober experience. Well, first of all, I'm amazed that I even stuck with it from day 1 to day 31, even trying to catch up, like doubling up the first half because I was already behind. I started late. But I definitely learned a lot about different techniques for drawing because, as I mentioned, I'm an acrylic painter. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. I hope to do this again next year. And thanks for watching.